Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. We are continuing to discuss and evaluate documents that were produced for the first time by the Moscow Police Department on the 23rd of July 2023 regarding their investigation into the crimes at 1122 King Road. At this time, I would like to direct your attention to sequence document number 135. This is a report that is prepared by Detective Brett Payne. It is dated February 1st, 2023, but it recalls events that occurred on December 29th and 30th, 2022. The subject of the narrative is arrest warrant and arrest of Kohberger. And it states as follows: based off information obtained during the course of this investigation, I applied for an arrest warrant for Brian C. Kohberger. Magistrate Judge Marshall signed the warrant on December 29th, 2022. Previous search warrants and information led investigators to believe Kohberger left Pullman, Washington, and returned to his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Sergeant Gilbertson of the Idaho State Police, name redacted of the feds, and I flew to Pennsylvania on December 29th, 2022, and met with the Pennsylvania State Police, PSP, and the feds there. At approximately 1 a.m. on December 30th, 2022, the Pennsylvania State Police CERT team conducted an operation at, the address is redacted, and took Kohberger into custody based off the warrant signed by Judge Marshall. Kohberger was taken to a nearby Pennsylvania State Police barracks where Sergeant Gilbertson and I interviewed him for approximately 45 minutes. See Sergeant Gilbertson report on the interview for full details. The warrant was served to Kohberger upon his extradition back to Idaho and his booking into the Latah County Jail. And then the certification section: I certify or declare under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and correct. And it's signed by Corporal Payne on February 1st and reviewed by Sergeant Dustin Blacker on February 2nd, both dates 2023. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I could add some commentary here. First, paragraph 1. Detective Payne asked for this warrant for Mr. Kohberger's arrest in the affidavit of probable cause, which is signed by him also under penalty of perjury on the 29th of December 2022. It's an 18-page document. On page 18 is where he's asking for the warrant based off of the information that appears in that affidavit of probable cause. Secondly, there is a reference here of an interview that Mr. Kohberger went through that was approximately 45 minutes in length. That happened, as Detective Payne said here, at the Pennsylvania State Police Barracks. What had happened was he's arrested in his parents' home in Albrightsville and is immediately taken to this barracks, put in an interview room that's equipped with video and with audio. And the people who interviewed him, Detective Brett Payne and Detective Gilbertson, also recorded this interview. So there's two versions of this interview that are recorded. First by the equipment that's set up in the Pennsylvania State Police Barracks, and then the second recording that Gilbertson took. And then third, I'm not sure why Detective Payne is referring to Sergeant Gilbertson's report of the interview when he himself wrote a report. And he's describing the fact that it was approximately 2 o'clock in the morning when Mr. Kohberger arrives at the Pennsylvania State Barracks, that he's brought into an interview room, that it is Detective Payne and Detective Gilbertson that are interviewing him. And that's where there's some discussion in Detective Payne's report of, once Detective Payne introduced himself, Mr. Kohberger said, "You do look familiar," and then he talked about some of the work that he had done through his studies at the Washington State University, where he had just completed his first semester as a PhD candidate working with 2 law enforcement agencies. If you have any comments, any feedback, any thoughts regarding this report, please leave it here. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.